If you want to batch create social media posts in a spreadsheet, upload it, and have the various posts be distributed across multiple social media platforms, you're in the right place. I'm going to show you how to do that right now using Metricool. We want to bulk upload multiple posts that are going to go to multiple platforms so that we can just set this up in a spreadsheet and then dump it into Metricool and let Metricool just run with it and make it happen. This is the only reason that I'm doing anything on social media, because without an option like this, I just can't imagine trying to every single day keep up with all the platforms and all the different ways they do things. It would just drive me bananas. The spreadsheet for me is just the way to go. So the way that we do that is we come up here and we click Import Export CSV. And we're still on this planning tab inside Metricool. And we want to do Import CSV. Export would just be exporting the details of whatever you've got scheduled. But when we say import, we're going to bring in a spreadsheet that we create. And when you click Import CSV, you have an option here to go ahead and download the template. So you click that, it'll download the template. That's the spreadsheet you need to fill in. Super simple. Once you have that spreadsheet filled in, you're going to come back, you're going to click this same import export button. And when you say import CSV, then you're just going to attach that same spreadsheet that you just filled in. Make sense? Now, of course, you can also make a copy of this template so that you don't have to come in here and go through these couple of steps every time you want to get the template to fill it in. Save a blank on your computer somewhere and then fill it in as many times or for as many brands or whatever as you want to do. All right, so let's go take a look at this spreadsheet. Here is what our spreadsheet looks like. This is the template spreadsheet, and there's a lot of columns, but don't let it intimidate you. The first row here is the field name, and then the second row is an example of what you might put in that particular field. You can change a lot of these things, and you will for each individual post. So the first thing that you have is the text of your post. And yes, you can include emojis in here. So these are the words you type out, the things that you're going to put up as text. The next thing is the date and then the time that you want the post to go live, what you're scheduling, when you're scheduling it to go live. There's many different formats for dates and times around the world. If Excel recognizes it as a date, you're probably in good shape, because Metricool is going to give you the opportunity when you import this sheet to tell it what the date format is so that it can discern what date you're talking about. Same thing for the time field. Use a standard time format, but it can be one of many standard time formats. Again, Metricool will allow you to say, this is what my time format is. There's several true and false fields that come along here. First one is draft. Do you want this to be a draft? If you say true in here, then when it comes into Metricool, it's going to be saved as a draft, which means it's not going to publish until you go undraft it. So your date and time won't matter if it's saved as a draft. Next one is Facebook. True or false? Do you want this post to go to Facebook? You're going to have the same thing, so that I don't have to read through all of these. You have the same thing for Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Business Page, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, and YouTube. So those are all just true or false. Which of these platforms are we posting to and which are we not? So in my case, I'm going to say false for Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Business Page. Leave Instagram. I have some images prepared that are not going to work on Instagram from an aspect ratio perspective. So I'm going to say false. I'm going to say true on Pinterest, false on TikTok, and false on YouTube. The next thing that you have are your picture URLs, and they give you up to 10 picture URLs in here. You're not going to attach your pictures in Excel, and you're not going to upload them to Metricool at all. You're going to provide Metricool with a link, a URL, where it can go find these pictures when it's time to post, and it's going to pass that through. The picture URLs can't be just any random URL on the internet. You can't just grab a link to a picture from somebody else's website, and you can't host your pictures that you want to upload on your website or domain name. These, according to Metricool, have to be a cloud service. What I've found through trial and error is Google Drive works really well, and we'll get into the details on that in just a minute because it's important and it's pretty detailed. There's all the picture URLs. I'm only going to have one per post, so I'm going to delete the rest of those. And in fact, I'm going to go back and change this date right now so that I don't mess that up and miss it later. All right, so there we go. And I'm going to go ahead, since I'm going to do about 10 posts here, I'll do 12, so I'll go down to row 13. I think I have about 12 pictures that are ready to go. So I'm just going to fill those in just like that. So now what I'm telling it date-wise is I'm doing at 8 a.m. Every day for 12 days here. We're going to post whatever this stuff is. Now, likewise, since all these are going to be identical going down, I'm going to select those, grab this corner, drag them down. So now I'm saying for each one of these posts, remember, each row is a post. For each one of these posts, all the draft is true. Oop, I need to change that. The draft is going to be false. It is not a draft. Facebook is true. False, 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 false. Pinterest is true. TikTok and YouTube are false. Okay, and I do need to come back and I need to put these URLs in here. So make sure I don't forget that. I'm going to go ahead and just highlight those so I know to come back to it. And I'm also going to delete this text because all I'm going to do is post images without any text, because my particular images that I've created, they all have text. The next field that we need to look at is document title. That's for LinkedIn, so we don't have to worry about that, and I'm just going to delete it. Shortener, we'll leave that true. So where I have links, I want Metricool to go ahead and shorten up those links using their link shortener service. Pinterest board, you have to tell it what Pinterest board you want it to go to. So let me go look, because I don't remember all the names of my Pinterest boards for all the different brands. I'm sure they're great, but I don't remember. So the Pinterest board I'm going to put these under is content creation. That's the name of my board, and you do want to make sure that you have that spelled right. It needs to be exactly what your board is. The next thing is your Pinterest pin title, and a couple ways you can do this. What I have, and I try and batch these things so that I can do it this way, but I have a dozen text-based images that are all about the same thing. They're talking about Metricool. So what I would probably do for my Pinterest title, I can either go to ChatGPT or something like that and have it help me come up with a dozen different titles for my Pinterest pins. Or sometimes what I'll do is maybe I've only got like 4 titles that make sense. So I'll just alternate those throughout here. So for what I'm working on, I'm talking about Metricool and social media. So I think maybe what I'll do is just come up with a couple. Let's see, what can we come up with? All right, so I just real quick came up with a handful of different titles that I can use, and I'm going to go ahead and just copy those and paste them down, and then I'll grab, and a couple here will repeat, and that's okay. Now we need our Pinterest pin link. That's the link we want to include in our Pinterest pin. And I happen to save that over here off the screen in Notepad. Put it in a little notepad while I was working on it earlier. And I'm going to paste it in here and drag it on down. Where this link leads is to a blog post that I've written about Metricool. So the pin that I'm putting up is sort of trying to engage or to attract the people that might be interested in this. And then if they follow, click, whatever, go to the link, they'll come to my blog post where they can read more about it. And of course, there'll be a YouTube video in there too if they want to go watch the YouTube video. If you're doing any kind of affiliate marketing, what you don't want to do in Pinterest is have your Pinterest link go straight to the purchase page or the offer page or whatever it is that you're promoting. You need to have it go somewhere else. We're trying to provide something useful to visitors here. Pinterest doesn't want just a site full of ads. They actually want something that's going to be useful to people, that people want to see and interact with. So you need to, instead of going straight from Pinterest to an affiliate offer or whatever, you need to have some other content for them to go to that they can enjoy, benefit from, whatever the case may be. So going to a blog post is a great way to go. Our next field here is Instagram post type. If we are posting to Instagram, which I believe we said false, so we're not going to Instagram. If we were, we would want to put the word post, reel, or story in this field to tell Metricool whether to make this a post, a reel, or a story. We're not doing that, so I'm just going to delete that. The next one is YouTube video title. In this case, we're not posting to YouTube, so we can get rid of it. The next one is the video type, which is where we'd say video or short. The next field is the privacy settings. If we were posting a video and it was going to YouTube, we could tell Metricool to make this public, private, or unlisted when it posts it. Again, we're not sending this particular one to YouTube, so we will just delete that, and that'll be a blank field. The next field is whether this video is made for kids, for YouTube. Again, no YouTube, so we're not worried about it. Next one is the YouTube video category. We're going to delete that because we're not posting to YouTube. Next one, YouTube video tags. You would separate these by commas if you're posting to YouTube, but we're not, so I'm just going to delete it. The next field here is the Google business page post type, whether it's a publication or a photo. We're not posting this to Google business pages, so we're just going to delete that field as well. This next one here is Facebook post type, and we are going to Facebook, so we will need to look at that, aren't we? Yeah, so do we want this to be a post or a reel? This is not a video, so it's going to be a post. And again, I want to make sure that I drag that down, all the way down, so that it fills in for each one of our posts. Our next one here is Facebook title. Do we need a title for this? We do not, so we can delete it. So the next field over here is the first comment text. If you want to go ahead and set it to make the first comment immediately when you post it, you can go ahead and put that in here now for each post and set it up. So that the first comment is over here in column AL. Your original post text is over here in column A, the very first column of the spreadsheet. All right, so let's go back over. I'm not going to do a first comment day. Then the next one is TikTok, disable comments. I'm not posting to TikTok, so this really doesn't matter. I could leave it at false, or I'm just going to delete it so it's clean. TikTok, disable duet. TikTok, disable stitch. And I don't need either of those, so I'm going to go ahead and delete them. And then brand name, the brand name column, if you want to upload one sheet that has content for multiple brands in it, then you would need to specify by post. So for each row, you'd need to say which brand you want this post to go with. But if we're going to log in, we're going to be under the brand that we're trying to post to, we only want to post it to that brand, we just leave this whole thing blank. So now it's time to go back over here to our picture URL, because remember, I wanted to post pictures. Now, if this was text, we'd pretty much be, other than filling in the text we wanted to post over here in column A, if we were just trying to make text posts across these platforms, we fill in our text. If you want to do pictures or videos, it's a little more complicated. Honestly, it's a little more complicated than I would like it to be, but I sort of understand why it is the way it is. So here in your picture URL, this would be for pictures or for videos. So if you're uploading videos, this works the same way. You need a URL, and the URL needs to be from a cloud service, not from your website, your blog, somebody else's, blog, no mywebsite.com, no joesthimblemuseum.net or whatever. These need to be on a cloud service like Google Drive. If we just need to get one URL at a time, that's not so bad. We can come over to Google Drive, go find the file that we want to get the URL for, and either select it, and then we can click the share button in order to get the URL. And in order for Metricool to use it, we're going to have to share the file. So we need to change this to anyone with link, copy the link, and then we can go back over to Metricool and paste it in like so. But I don't want to do this for 12 of these, much less when I'm doing 100, or recently I had over 200 images that I was trying to schedule out well into the future, and I definitely don't want to go one by one get those. I found a solution. It took a little while. This was through contacting Metricool support to find out what the issue was, and then figuring out how to resolve it. When I reached the conclusion that I needed to put my pictures or videos on Google Drive, because Metricool requires the multimedia files to be hosted on a cloud service and not just some random URL, my thought was, how can I get all of these URLs just exported? If I put everything in a single folder, how can I just export a list of those URLs without having to one by one go click on them and copy them, because that was not going to work for me. I don't have the patience for that. I found a free extension for Google Sheets that will go look at whatever folder you want in your Google Drive, and it will bring back and dump a list of all the information about those files that you want. And then you just copy that particular column out of the Google Sheet you've created and paste it into your Metricool template upload sheet, and you're good to go. So the first thing I want to do is all of these files that we're going to try and upload here, we need them to be shared. We can't have them restricted access. So I'm going to go back to this folder. This is the folder that all these files are in, and I am going to share the folder, and it will ask me here what I want to do. I don't want to add people or groups. I need this to be an open to anybody with the link. So I switch that to anyone with the link, and I say, and it gives you the option of viewer, commenter, or editor, what kind of access you want to give them. It defaults to viewer here, and we're just going to leave that set at viewer. And so now we see we got anybody with the link can view. As long as somebody has the link, they can view. That's exactly what we need for Metricool to be able to access it and ship that link off to the social media site when it's time to post, and they'll get it. So now I'm going to say done. That's done here. So then what we need to do is come into Google Sheets and just create a new sheet. It can be a blank sheet. It's fine. It doesn't have to be anything special. That's totally fine. You're going to want it to go to Extensions, click Add-ons, say Get Add-ons, and then you want to search for Drive Explorer. And it is this first one right here, Drive Explorer. And you can see that I already have this installed, so I can't exactly reinstall it. It's free, but you'll click on that and you will install that add-on, that extension, whatever they're calling it. It is not complicated. Really click on it, follow the instructions, and it's simple from there. So then you're going to come back to your sheet, this blank sheet that you've got, or create a new blank sheet, whatever you like. Go to Extensions, and then you'll see this Drive Explorer down here at the bottom. If you don't, you might need to close your browser and come back. I believe for me it was there right away, so it should be good. So we go to Drive Explorer, and you will look for something along the lines of Select Files Folders. And it's asking you what you want to export. And we're not really exporting these, we're really just exporting a list. We're dumping a list. And what we want to do is we want to say selected items. So you want to have your image or video files in a specific folder that goes along with this specific upload so that you can get the links to them pretty easy. They're in a one chunk, one place, and you don't have to sort through and figure out what's what. So we're going to say selected items, and it's going to say where do you want them from? What file or folder do you want? So to get this to look fresh like it would when you come in your first time, I'm going to hit reset. And so what you'll see is item list is empty. You can add folders, files by selecting add items. So that's what we're going to do. When I add items, it's going to show you this little thing that tells you how to do it. And we're going to click start picking. Then from here, we click on the folder that we want, and then we click select. We give this just a minute, and now it comes up with these default settings of include the nested files. Yes, we want that. That's all we need to do. So now we say export details. And we wait just a moment. And we have our success message. And here we are. So what we have is we have the file name, we have the URL, and you have a bunch of other information that we don't need for this purpose. I want these links, all of these URLs. I need to copy and paste those. It gives you a direct link, which ends in equals download, and then it gives you a file link, which ends in /edit. I've been using the file link version. When I use the equals download link, which is the one named direct link, if I click that URL and follow that URL, it takes me onto the Google Drive website, and I don't know if that would create a problem when Metricool tries to upload the posts or not. So to be safe, I figured out that this the /edit seems to take it directly to the file. So that's what I've been using. I'm not sure that you have to, but that's where I'm at. So I'm just going to select all of these. These are my 12 different URLs that I want. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to come back in to my Excel spreadsheet, and I'm just going to paste those. And again, these pictures, they don't have to line up to any kind of text because I'm not using text over here in column A, and they don't need to line up specifically with any title or board. They're all basically interchangeable. So if you have specific things going on, you might want to do it a little differently. So for instance, if you have 3 different campaigns that you want to run, you might want to do those as 3 separate spreadsheet uploads so that you can keep things separate. Or, the other thing that you could do is in your Google Sheet here, maybe you have your file names be something significant to you, something that you can recognize what you need to do with the text or with the other fields that to make it match up with that file appropriately. Now, one thing I need to tell you about this extension, the Drive Explorer extension, actually there's 2 things that I want to tell you. My thought was that the next time I needed to go get a list for the URLs for the next batch I wanted to upload in a spreadsheet, that I would just create a new Google Sheet and create a new list. And it told me, nope, on the free version, you can only have 1 sheet at a time that's using this extension. So easy enough. I can't remember if I think I went back to that sheet. I ended up deleting it somehow and then creating a new blank sheet, but it'll only let you use 1 sheet at a time. Now, the other thing I found is when I tried to do this for my 200 and something images, that there was a limit, and I believe the limit was 200 was the max of what it would list out here. I just saw the number 50 somewhere when we were doing this. So you might want to just double check that. But if you're doing dozens or hundreds, and that's on the free version of the Drive Explorer deal, I didn't particularly feel like paying $5 a month for such a utility. Maybe you do. All right, so I'm done with this sheet, the Google Sheet. All I needed it to get for me was these URLs that I could copy and paste into Excel. So I'm going to close this now. When I need to create another batch of social media posts that have images or videos, I put them in a Google Drive folder. I come in here to this sheet, tell it what folder I'm looking for, let it populate, and then I copy and take them over to Excel or another Google Sheet, and off I go. All right, so at this point, our spreadsheet is ready to go. One thing I want to do is I want to make sure that when I'm saving it as a CSV or a comma separated value. I've confirmed that that is the case. You can rename it if you like, if you want to be properly organized and keep track of what you're uploading when and where things are. It doesn't have to have the same file name, but it does need to stay a CSV. All right, so we are back in Metricool and we are on the planning tab, which gives us this nice calendar layout. We're going to come right over here to Import Export CSV. Remember, this is where we got the template. And we're going to click Import. There's the template again if we needed it, but we don't. This time, all we need to do is grab our filled in spreadsheet and put it back up there. Once we select the file, Metricool is reading. Now it's validating. And the first thing we see here is some posts seem to have errors. Note that posts with errors will be imported as draft. That's a good idea. If the post date is invalid, it will be scheduled today at the current time. Well, we don't want that. Now, a lot of times what I find is the errors that it has is when it's unsure about the date format. If we look over here, it's saying invalid date format, invalid time format, and that's just a matter of we need to tell it right here what our date and time formats look like. So mine, if I remember right, were in the format of month, day, and then a 4-digit year. We shall see. And then my times, I recall doing my times as hour, minute, and then AM or PM. Let's check and see if that's right. Oh, no, not the right time format. That's not the way I had the times, apparently. For whatever reason, I did not have a leading zero. That's odd. There we go. Now we found the format that we had it in. So, and you'll want to glance over those to make sure they're right. If you've set up your date format and you have a post scheduled for what you think is 9/1/2024, which is a date format of month, day, year, but it's perceiving that it should be day, month, year, Your post might end up going out on 1/9 or January 1st instead of 9/1 September. So you just want to glance down here once it's pulled everything in and say, yeah, that's what I was planning to do. And you can see just a quick scan here. Each day I've got Facebook and Pinterest. That's what we said we wanted to do. No text, but just an image for each one of those. All my errors are gone, so I seem to be in good shape there. And I can preview, just like when I'm doing one post at a time, I can preview right here, see what it's going to look like. Mobile, desktop, and whatever platforms that I'm posting to will be shown right up here. I know that's just a beautiful post, isn't it? Yeah, I agree. Okay, maybe not. Click the import button to bring them all in. It'll run through its little processing process, where it processes the process. Obviously, if you're doing 100 or 200 or 1,000, I don't know, however many you're doing, if you're doing a bunch, this is going to take a little longer than us just doing the dozen here that we're doing. Certainly your Wi-Fi speed helps that. Okay, accept, and there we go. And now we can scroll up and take a look. And sure enough, there's one that I scheduled. It's showing as pending for 8 a.m. The next one, and we can go look at next week and see that, by golly, they're all there, just like we wanted them to be. Now, once these are up here and they're on the calendar, you won't be able to go back and make a change that applies to all these, because the spreadsheet upload, that's just a matter of dumping everything in here. You've now dumped everything into Metricool, so it goes in and it sorts itself out to where it needs to be. So you won't be able to do say you wanted to change the platform for every one of those. You can't do that all at once because you've already uploaded it and said what you want to do. But if you have something, say I got something going on next Wednesday at 8 a.m. and I don't really want this post to go out then, I want it to go at 9, I can just drag it down to 9 o'clock, and sure enough, the time changes. If I say, you know what, I don't want to do that one that day at all, let's push that one out, and I'd rather do one Thursday evening, I can drag it over and put it wherever, and it'll update. That is just as cool as can be, if you ask me. If you want to make more significant changes, you just click on any one of the posts, and I'll say individual, but it's individual in that it's set for that day and time and those platforms, but it is set for multiple platforms. So if I make changes to this post here, I'll be making it for both Facebook and Pinterest for this post. If I wanted to edit those individually, then I hit this edit by network, and then I'll have the option to adjust the template or adjust either specific post for Facebook or Pinterest. Now seems like a good time to remind you to grab your own free Metricool account. Just click the link in the description. I am an affiliate, so if you end up making a purchase at some point from Metricool, I might receive a small commission. It won't cost you a penny more. In my last video, I showed you how to set up Metricool and create a post to go out to multiple platforms. In this video, we've talked through the process of batch creating posts in a spreadsheet that has all the details and then uploading that to Metricool for distribution based on what we specified in the spreadsheet. And guess what? There's another cool and super efficient way to get lots of social media content out there to multiple platforms using Metricool, and it's called auto lists. That's what we're doing next, and I hope you'll join me.